I'm here with Sean Gallagher, and we are going to talk with Sean's friend Walter about digitizing archival images.
So we're going to talk about the Reformer series. That's the one he helped me with the most, but he helped me with a bunch of other stuff as well. So
yeah,
there he is. Hey, Walt.
Don't you love technology, everybody?
Yes.
I feel so connected.
So do you mind if I call you the name I'm used to calling you?
You call me whatever you want, Sean.
Oh, well, there you go.
And that's a mood thing, right?
Right. So.
Oh, wait a minute. All right, there we go.
There you go. So Walter is Wally. So we call him Wally.
Wally's good. I like
Yeah.
Wally. Like
Yeah.
Wally and the Beaver.
That's it. So we started calling you Wally. So I kind of, while we were trying to get you connected, I talked a little bit about some of the things that we did. I talked about how I, took the original negatives that I got when I purchased the business and the archives and everything, and then put them into a contact sheet. And then you took those contact sheets and made them into the sheets with the quotes and everything like that. So, we figured you could talk a little bit about, that process and how we went.
Yeah, but I first have a couple questions for Walter.
Sorry.
Yes. Thank you for manning the ship, Sean. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Walter, before we talk to you about what you've done with Sean, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started in Pilates, how you met Sean, that kind of thing?
I think at the time, my wife and I, we live in New Hampshire now, but we were in New York City in Queens, and I think she was at Hunter College, I believe. Sean, maybe you can help me remember this. And wasn't she an intern, not an intern for you, but she did some PT workshop with you for dance? Was that what it was?
So what I did is, as a PT, I would go around, and for the different universities, I would go in and do, injury prevention workshops. And,
That's what it was.
Right. And I would go in and teach the students what to do and how to take care of themselves. I mean, I was teaching at other universities at the same time, Pilates and, and other things, but I was teaching, so there I contacted Hunter because, it's a dance program, and I figured that dancers always need a little bit extra help, and see if they were interested, and they were. So I went, I think it was in January, it was in between semesters, and I went and one of my injury prevention lectures.
Okay.
And I believe she helped me because you need a model. So I did all the foam roller work that I do and the ball work, and there were stair bands, not Pilates stuff. It was much more PT and the stuff I'd come up with to help dancers take care of themselves.
Yeah, she's really into it. She's still pursuing it with injury prevention for point dancers.
Yep.
Wow.
So she's been doing this stuff you were the first one, though, I think she ever talked to that had a background in that field. Right. I believe so. Yeah, that's what it was. She really got into what you were doing. But I don't, to be honest with you, seeing your memory, sorry, folks, I do not remember how you and I connected after that. I mean.
Well, I think she connected you with, we talked, and I wanted to do something, and then we did the video. So I think
that's right. That's because I was doing part-time media work, because I'm a photographer, videographer, editor, and
cool.
I don't remember that project at all, but I do remember that's how. And you, Sean, said to me, because you were a little out of shape and I was a lot out of shape. You said, I used to do a thing called the Over 40 Club, but I guess we'll have to call it the Over 50 Club now. He says, where I hook up with a couple of, guys my age or whoever my age, and we work out 2-3 times a week, and that's how it started.
Yep.
I started coming in Tuesdays and Thursdays,
and you started working out together.
Yeah because Sean
cool.
just needed someone. He would work out and teach all at the same time. What a deal for me. And I said, well, I don't know anything about Pilates, but I need to get off my rear hiney.
Yeah.
And I came on the R, or, I'm sorry, the E, because that's what stopped outside 8th Avenue in your old studio.
Yep.
And twice a week for almost 5 years.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, I miss it. I do miss it. I do.
Yeah, when you move, that's when, he moved. If he was still around, we'd still be doing it.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Not right now because I closed the studio because of the, the pandemic, but you know, up until then at least.
Well, you could still do it virtually.
You know, Sean, we almost could. We could start with Matt again.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. Not the same thing.
Zoom.
It used to be fun, though, coming into your studio there, because as you entered, you had to walk through the mat section, you know, when you were coming in for treatment, you know, and it's mostly Broadway people. So there are also a whole variety of really weird and eclectic people came through to get treated. You know, the last one I remember was, what's her name from Weeds? Sorry, right out of my head.
Oh yeah, Mary.
Don't you do it too? You treated her.
I'm Mary.
Is it Mary?
Oh, I know who you're talking. Yeah.
I know who you're talking about too.
Oh, she's fabulous. She's exactly like you see her on the screen, because she's so sassy. And she says, "And how did you hook up with this loser?" or something like that. It was very funny. A lot of people like that, which is kind of fun, you know, because you're sitting there, you know, trying to work your fat off, and all these Broadway celebrities are walking through.
Mary, that's it. Mary Louise Parker.
Mary Louise Parker. Yep. My wife's coming and saying, "Don't you remember?"
Okay.
Well, and you know, she would come, and I've worked with her on a number of the shows she's done on Broadway.
Nice lady. Exactly what you would expect.
Films. I never did films, but you know, for the Broadway shows, you know, I'd come, and then she would come and, you know, get treated.
Yep.
So, Walter, so you said your background is in media and photography.
Yeah. Well, mostly I did a lot of dance photography and videography and that, and then I just started doing ads and things like that. I do it here, part-time, but it keeps me busy. But yeah, I'm real comfortable with that. I'm actually very technical, as Sean found out. I'm good with computers, and although you wouldn't know it tonight. No, it's just social media.
I have a Hackintosh because of Walter.
Oh, cool.
Oh my God, you do. Good job. Yeah.
So Walter, you started working together on, Sean was saying, the Reformer picture in particular.
Yeah. Was this the calendar, Sean?
No, this was, remember that we had the Reformer sheets?
Yes.
There was 12 of them that we had so many, you know, cleaning up and issues and trying to get it so I could put it out for sale.
Right.
And so, like, you were working from contact sheets or from negative?
Yeah. High-end contact sheets, which we would scan, and then I would take them in and break them all up and work on each thing. It's basically, you know, not to get heavy into the weeds on this, and also you try to stay as authentic to the original as you can, but sometimes you can't because of the condition. So, you know, lots of layers of trying to fix things and shaping lines and applying filters to pop it a little bit and bring it out, you know, because they were a little tired, you know, and get it so you could put out a decent PDF for publishing.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I had to do is, you know, you take the negative, and I had to take it to somebody that would, you know, they would then make the contact sheet.
Right.
And try to get it as best as possible, because, you know, I mean, I guess we could have done it from the negative, but it's better to do it from the contact sheet and then take it from there and then scan it.
It's as close to the negative here. The problem with those pictures, those original pictures, right? We're not talking about the ones you did back in the 80s, but those original pictures where they weren't great shots to begin with. So, you know, it wasn't like a master came in and really lit them perfectly. They were okay.
Yeah.
So to bring them out, there's a lot of darks, and it didn't really show well. So you'd have to mess with them a little bit to get them to pop, and so you could see it a little cleaner, and then get rid of all the milky, dusty look of the bad contrast. Really bad.
That's so interesting, because, like, you know, if you were to look at the pictures now, because Sean sells those pictures, you would never know that the original negatives and contact sheets didn't look like those pictures.
I don't think they did. I mean, it's not like I changed it. I didn't change anything, but, you know, if there was a lot of noise in it, you know, that doesn't affect the original shot, so you get rid of all the noise.
Yeah.
If you have real mars and imperfections in it, it doesn't mess with the picture, but you get rid of the imperfection. You just make it so it looks, you know, somebody wants to buy it, hang it on their wall. It doesn't look like somebody did it with an old Polaroid.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, that's the interesting thing, because, you know, when we look at the return to life, which is done by a professional photographer,
whole different thing.
It's all consistent. It was all good. Well, Joe, you know, it looks, you know, people are like, well, the same photographer took those photos, and we know that's not the case, because the lighting, you know, however, you know, whether the exposure, everything was off a little bit. It wasn't, you know, and if it was that professional shot,
they really weren't well lit. It looks like a
right.
lot of the shots were taken with a single flash can in the front.
Right.
And that's what which flattens the picture and gives it no depth because you're not doing anything behind. And that's what we tried to pop the backgrounds to make them, you know. So what I would do was I would separate the subject from the background and play with the background to make it so it popped it a little bit. I mean that's why that took so long.
Yeah.
But no, it was fascinating work, and you got me all hooked with, you know, at that point I'd been doing Pilates for quite a while, and so I was interested in you know, his history, which is fascinating.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, the way, you know, he had to be, you know, kind of like I come from French Canadian background, so if there's a nickel to scrub and they'll find it'd be a French Canadian. Well, let me tell you something. Joe's right from that school. He didn't spend any money. It's obvious that guy knew where every nickel he had was. I mean, unbelievable. Am I wrong about that, Sean, or was he just cheap, Joe?
Well, you like the springs.
You know, you know, he spent money when he had to.
Yeah, when he had to.
Like, you know, he trademarked.
In this case, grudgingly.
He patented stuff. You know,
That's a good point.
He spent the money to get the cameras and the film because, you know, it wasn't cheap back then, right? It still was expensive.
No, it wasn't. I guess I don't know, but it sure didn't look like he spent a lot of time on it.
But at the same time, you know, I have his springs, and, you know, the spring broke, and he'd put like he'd go, oh, the spring broke, and so he'd put a little hook in the spring so he could still use the spring.
Yeah.
But also, you know, I think that what people don't realize, you know, because he was like my grandmother, and, you know, they went through the Depression.
Oh yeah, no. I understand. I'm making casual fun of it, but I grew up with these people.
Right. So did I.
Yeah.
My grandmother, you know, I would talk to my grandmother on the phone, and at 1 minute, she would hang up because you were wasting money talking on the phone.
Sure. Well, it was very expensive to talk on the phone.
Yeah, but that's the, you know, it's like you didn't spend time talking. Like today, forget it. But then you didn't spend time talking. But, you know, people, you know, it wasn't that they were cheap or frugal so much. It was that they had lived through a time when you didn't have anything. So, you didn't throw things away. And if you could still use it, you used it. And you did what you needed to do.
Sure. And I just saw a comment that said, a do-it-yourself kind of guy. Yeah.
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 That's it exactly. Good comment, whoever said that.
Some great comments. Yeah, I like the one about putting how Elaine said her grandmother put wet paper towels on the counter to dry so she could reuse them.
Yeah, I grew up with that person too. Wow, we live in a different world now, and it's you look back on it, and that's what when I saw those pictures, that's exactly what I saw.
Put a baby in the back seat in the basket without a belt. When I grew up, there was no seat belt. I mean, there were seat belts, but nobody used one.
Right. Yeah, and I know. We used to pile in whether it was 9 in my family, and we would get in a large station wagon to visit my grandma in Rhode Island, and there would be no seatbelts. Nobody. So.
No, there was nothing cooler than sitting in the back of a station wagon, like laying down in that big open space. Like you were the old kids, you were allowed to do that.
Right.
Yeah, and you didn't have to wear a seatbelt.
Yeah.
Okay, so. So now, Sean, are the Reformer pictures that Walter worked on, are those the only set of Reformer pictures that you have? Do you have other negatives, originals?
So I have 5, and I think if you include the junior, I think it's 6 different Reformer photo shoots that Joe did. And the different, and you know the difference because it's the whole series, and the apparatus looks different, the background looks different, everything looks different. There's the series where he did it outside. There's a bunch that he did.
Those were colorized, if I remember correctly, weren't they?
No, not those ones.
Those ones. Okay.
You're thinking of the chair. The
chair, right.
The chair is color negatives. I have, the whole chair workout with color negatives.
We tried to colorize some of them for fun. I can't remember how.
Well, what we did, what Walter did is we took a picture, and I use it on social media, of when Joe was on the rooftop with him and his brother, and there's the one picture when he's standing there with his what do we call it? Not his vest, his
like a pullover?
Yeah. Well, no, when you I don't use one.
Like a nightie, like a nightgown?
Not a gown, but
a night shirt.
No, not a shirt. What do you call the thing that you put on?
At night. Bathrobe.
Bathrobe.
Okay.
That's it. There we go.
I feel like I'm on a game show.
Yeah. Well, Walter, I can't remember was wearing that. It was really fancy, and Walter colored it up.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I remember that.
totally.
Walter did coloring. So
Wow, I had no idea.
that he,
That's what it was.
I've seen that. It's red.
Yeah, it's like a red with different colors. Yeah, so it was really fancy, and he made it look robe. There we go, robe. See?
Yeah. Okay.
That was
cool.
fun. It was kind of fun, get to know the guy from that level.
That is really cool. So I guess like my next question to you is going to be what we're talking about now is, did you have like an idea of the historical the historical nature of the project? Or
oh my goodness, history is my subject. I read it. I'm not happy unless I'm listening to or reading about history, and I of course instantly went back and read everything I could about him, how he got his start, and the early boxing training that he did, and his travels from Germany to here, and setting up in New York. Oh yeah, totally.
Cool. Because now those pictures are in studios around the world, that those reformer pictures that you worked on that Sean sells in the Pilates poster store online, they're everywhere. Yeah.
As is Pilates, which is a great thing.
Yeah, exactly. Especially great to be able to provide that to studios, to have access to what Joe's intentions, his original intentions, because if not for that, I mean, it would be almost like lost. Less people would know, how did he do horseback on the reformer? How did he do downstretch? They wouldn't really have as much information if they didn't have access to this.
Right.
Yeah, no.
So, thanks, Walt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, it kind of hooks you to Joe when you walk into a studio, which is a great thing.
Absolutely.
Because you had quite a few pictures up, along that wall as you walked in there of some original stuff of his. It was always fun to look at. Yeah.
Well, a lot of the archives are the things he had on the wall, and and what I did is I took those unpublished, because they were unpublished, right? So I took that unpublished work and made the contact sheets and all that other stuff, and then I copyrighted it.
Sure.
Because that's if it's unpublished, you can copyright it. And a lot of stuff, especially when you look at the 1909 copyright rules and regulations, to be published requires a lot more than just stick it on your wall. And so if you went into Joe's studio, he had it on the wall, but I'm trying, I've spent, a lot of time and energy with you and some others and myself. I've, learned how to do some of that myself now. And I'm trying to bring those archives back so that people all over the world can have, that. Dear God, don't say copyright.
Well,
there are some people who are claiming that I don't own, I don't own them, and it's like, well, it's okay.
It's okay. Hey, listen, we're all talking on a copyrighted system.
Right. There we go.
So, Walter, when you were so you and Sean, you did a mat workout, right?
We started, I think the first 2 years, we just did mat, because Sean is in his never-ending quest to be methodical. Sean, he didn't want to stick me on a machine where I would hurt myself. So, which is probably a fair thing. And it's actually, let me say this. He said, you'll be a lot stronger if we just focus, and both of us will be stronger if we just spend a couple of years just doing mat, which is what we did the first 2 years. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is that, the apparatus, it's better to have a teacher. Yeah. Because of what you have to do. And
you were going to work out with me, so I needed to be stronger. Yeah.
So we started with the basic mat, and then we, just like Joe says, you start with these exercises. We got stronger when they added, and we added. And then, because the mat in some ways is harder than the apparatus because you get the resistance and you get feedback. But then once you were strong enough and knew what you're doing and knew the exercise, there's carryover between mat and reformer.
Absolutely. I got on the reformer. It didn't feel foreign to me. I could not have imagined getting onto that contraption in the first 3 months of doing it.
Right.
Seriously. The first year, really.
Wow.
Really.
That's really
cool. It's not that I'm a klutz or anything. I just got more out of it when I was stronger. That's all.
Yeah. Because I guess you had connected to your powerhouse and you knew how to work and where to work from.
I didn't even know it. That's the first time I've heard that term.
Oh yeah. Powerhouse.
No, we didn't. It's funny. It was casual from the sense of, if I asked, you told me, but he said, do this and then you fix me and we'd work. We just worked.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, Walter, I don't know if you know this, but Joe actually had like a men's mat club in Beckett, Massachusetts.
I did not. Well, I've been to Beckett. I've been to the house.
Oh, cool. Well, it was in Lee, you know, like next town over. But he had a club, and he called it the Return to Life Club, and it was like a mat class.
Is that where that came from? I didn't know that. I've heard the phrase, yes, but I didn't know that.
So
oh my goodness! Well, how about that?
Had a Return to Life Club together.
Yes.
Did you have any other partners with you?
Yeah. So and for a while, I had another person who was a company manager for a Broadway show, and he started to come as well. You know, and he came for about a year, and then he got too busy and he couldn't do it anymore.
I don't even think it was that long, really.
Maybe not even. So I would always invite people if they wanted to come, but Walter is the one who stuck with
I'm the only one who showed up.
Right.
I'm a convert. I'm not. Well, I'm a convert. I haven't been doing it. We'll talk about that. But no, I got hooked. I didn't know what I would think about Pilates, you know, because like anything else, it had been around too long for it to be a fad, which attracted me. I figured if this has survived, you know, 5 or 6 decades, then there's something to this because, you know, I've been through the aerobics phase.
Totally.
So, you know, this was a pleasant surprise, really.
5 or 6 decades after he already did it for 5 or 6 decades.
Right.
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 You know,
exactly. Yeah.
Came in 26. He died in 64.
Right.
So we did it for 4 decades in New York. And then by the time you came, it was another 5. So it was almost 100 years of you know, being.
I guess what really attracted me to it was looking at pictures of him at the age of 83, being as fit as he was, and thinking to myself, and he smokes cigars and drinks whiskey.
Exactly.
There's something to this that might work for me. I don't smoke cigars, but I do like a little whiskey every now and then.
Well, that's what, you know, my clients, when they come into the studio, because I have those reformer pictures, and I have like a lot of other pictures of Joe hanging around, and that's their impression too. You know, they'll in the middle of their workout, they'll look up and be like, wow, he's 82. Cause you know, he would write his age and his name underneath the pictures. So they'd be like, he's 82 in that picture. Like, that is so inspiring.
It's unbelievable. Really is unbelievable. You know,
just,
I mean, the only other thing that I can think from that generation, and I doubt he was as fit, was Jack LaLanne. That's the only thing I can think of from that generation who was that inspirational, where it was sort of like a model for getting older. But I don't think Jack LaLanne lived that long, at least not that fit for that.
I don't know. I don't know how old he was.
Yeah, but anyway, I mean,
you know, Walter, what I always try to tell people is the interesting thing, you know, for the past couple 100 years, there's always been these, you know, these dynamic people who are physical culturists and come up and they develop a system and they market it and they put it out there and they promote it. And a lot of them got famous while they were living. And then when they died, it disappeared. Joe tried to do that, and, you know, he tried to get famous, but he wasn't that well known. He wasn't like McFadden,
no,
you know, Atlas and all these other guys. But when he died, the opposite happened, right? He's dead, and it's not the opposite 100% because the name's being used, not always the exercises. But
yeah,
you know,
the difference too is the coast too. If Joe had done this in California, would have been a different story, I think.
That's interesting.
You know, buried in the New York, mostly with the dance scene. You know, what's the bottom of the food of the arts food ladder? It's dance companies. Yeah. So not that the New York City Ballet is the bottom of the food chain, but it's kind of being buried in a part of the country. If he'd been out in front of a camera somewhere, I think it would have been a different thing.
Yeah, well, there's less PR because when Ron Fletcher went to California, you know, I guess you could say Pilates because it was a little, you know, it was more like his method, but he basically, you know, became very popular because of the PR he was able to.
Sure, yeah, exactly. No social media back then, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh, well.
Actually, it said 1936 to 2009, so he didn't live as long as Joe, right?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 64 plus 9 is 70, I think 73. Thanks, Kat.
10 years.
Well, I'm a fan of Jack LaLanne. So, okay. So, Sean, do you have any plans like to replicate or, you know, reproduce any other sets or?
Well, you know, we're talking with Russell possibly about making the Junior Reformer. And if we make the Junior Reformer, he had a poster of the Junior Reformer that I will reproduce. Okay, because I have the original negatives for that as well.
What's a Junior Reformer?
That's you know, Joe was way ahead of his time. He had a personal reformer that was a wooden frame. I have one that folds in half. It's half the size of the regular one. You know, I think you got, didn't I give you one of the home reformers?
Yeah, one of the small, yeah, $300 whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it was based on that. And, you know.
Well, no, yours was based on Joe's.
Right. Mine was based on Joe's. So that's what the junior reformer was. And he did a photo shoot of all the exercises. And it's interesting because the junior reformer, the one that he did the photo shoot with, doesn't have any straps. So it's all the exercises and other ones that are they're not all that you do on the reformer, because he added a few as well. So, you know, most of it's very similar, but there's some differences. So that's a possibility, you know, looking at that.
That'll be fun. I'm sure that's a very, people are excited to see that, to hear that.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So Walter, I see a question for you, and do you still practice Pilates? But you did, I think you said.
No, I've fallen off of it. I'll be honest. I moved to New Hampshire, and we moved a little away from the cultural center of, we're 20 minutes from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, which is where we started. My wife, however, came to town, and you know, Jackie is enormously fit, and she's, you know, a lifelong choreographer and dancer. She has been in a lot of exercise systems. And when I was in New York, she didn't do Pilates, but she came here and she found someone, Point Pilates in Portsmouth, you know, call out to Juliet. And they've become fast. Basically, she's doing with Juliet what I used to do with you, Sean. She goes twice a week and they work out together.
That is so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. She's got a beautiful studio in downtown Portsmouth, part of, you know, they built an addition. I'm sorry?
Does she have a husband that you can go work out with?
No, well, he's a doc. He's busy during the day. No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure Harry would want to do that. But
so it means even more that you guys have to do it together on Zoom.
Oh yeah, right. Well, we are. She's dedicated. Jackie's and she's become very good at it, which doesn't surprise me. She uses her body. So, we're building a 500 square foot. Space underneath for her to teach dance, do privates, and you know, below where I'm speaking actually. And we're going to put some gear in it, but we really can't eat up the space with something like a reformer. So I actually, I don't know, a few weeks ago, Sean and I were talking, maybe a month. And first thing I did when I bought this house is the spare bedroom, because we'd lived in the city and never had enough space. We didn't want to eat up the spare bedroom with a bed, so I built a Murphy bed, queen size Murphy bed. I'm a former tradesman, and you know, I do maintenance too on the side. And I want to do a Murphy reformer. So Sean and I have been yapping about that, and I think we might collaborate. So you know what I should do, if I do it, and I think I'm gonna, we should collaborate, Sean, and I should do the whole process, and we should just make it a whole media thing.
Okay, and we'll do.
Of course, you might want to sell these things, so I don't know. But,
well, like how to build your own Murphy reformer, and we'll do it. You know, we'll do.
So you pull it up out of the wall.
All right, and we do weekly. You film yourself working, and then we show it, and then we build it up, and people can follow along as you build your home reformer.
And then you can do a time lapse.
Right.
Oh, that could be scary. You'll be collecting Social Security before I finish. No, that's not true. No. It solves the problem for space, but I haven't figured out how to do the towers, or it's germinating in my head. I haven't found anything online that really does it properly. So
cool.
Well, I'm happy to work with you. I don't want to build stuff anymore, but anybody wants to build it, you know, I'm happy to sit down with you and we'll do it again.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, cool. Thank you so much, Walter, for joining us.
It was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, it was really fun. I think people enjoyed the conversation. I see a lot of really nice comments and thanking you for your work on the pictures, and thanking you, Sean, for, you know, opening up the pictures to everybody as well. So thank you both.
Yeah, thanks, Walter. I really, appreciate it. It's great to see you and, catching up again. So it's been nice.
Yeah, really, really good. Kathy will be on that tomorrow at 7 p.m. when she talks with Sean, 7 p.m. Eastern time, when she talks with Sean about when he took the teacher training program internationally. So that will be tomorrow night's talk. Thanks, everybody, for joining in.
Thanks for joining. Thanks, Walt. Tell Jackie.
Happy winter, everybody. Stay safe.
Already, but it's great. And, and this summer, last time you came, everything was in disrepair. The studio has been rebuilt. So.
Oh, yeah, work party. I'll be there.
Yeah, we're going to do that. You can come and help us out, meet everybody else, and we can talk Pilates for a weekend.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sounds like a plan. I'd love to do it.
And I'll work out with you.
Yeah.
We'll film
it. Is. That'll give me a little chance to get ready.
That's it.
I'll need it.
All right.
All right. Thanks,
cool.
Walter.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
All
Thanks
right.
for inviting me.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.